the Senior Podcast Show. My name is Kori Lehr. I'm the Director of Communications for the Senior Companies and also your host. I am so glad to be here today. I have two amazing women in our studio. We have a long history of working together, and it is about time that you are both finally here. I have Kim Bora. She is the Director of Sales and Marketing for Cedarbrook of Rochester, and her right-hand lady, we have Casey Hess, and she is the Manager of Sales and Marketing. So welcome both. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. We're glad to be here too.
I know. Thank you for having us.
I also want to make sure that everybody knows we're going to link a video down below of a little behind the scenes that we did. It's not the community that you guys work at right now, but it is a very funny video, and I think everybody should watch it because we got some seniors involved in the making.
Good times.
We can change the logo if we want.
Well, whatever you want to do. We're all about fun.
But again, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast show. You guys are a huge supporter of the Senior Movers. We absolutely appreciate it. You know, we just wanted to give you a chance to, get on the platform and talk a little bit about what you guys do best. You both have been in the industry for a couple of years, well, more than that. But you have such an insight because you've worked at a few different communities. So you kind of get to see how so many communities are alike, what makes them different. And at the end of the day, there's one thing in common that makes a community successful. And it's people like you guys.
It's the team.
Yeah,
100%.
And so we were sort of talking behind the scenes a little bit about that. So do you want to, before we get deep into that, just tell me a little bit about your roles at the community and sort of how your experience sort of led you to where you're at now in Cedarbrook of Rochester?
Yeah, definitely. Kim,
You want to go, Kim?
Yeah. So when I was young, just about 19 years old, my both grandmas needed a place. Unfortunately, we didn't have the means to have an elaborate community. And they didn't have a lot around. And I always thought, what could I do to change this? Because I didn't like where my grandparents were. They're in skilled and Medicaid beds, and it was just awful. And as I started growing up, I said, what can I do to change this industry? So my mother was actually a human resource director at Oakwood Hospital. Now it's called Beaumont. But she got me in there, and I started off as a scheduler, and I got to hire the caregivers, and I got to send them out to the hospitals. And then I was like, this is fun. This is great. Now what else can I do? So then I touched base on every little scope of the healthcare industry, which led me to the communities. And that is by far my favorite place to be.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh my gosh. So I actually got my start in the hotel and hospitality industry. And so I was working as AGM, all this stuff throughout the years. And then COVID hit, unfortunately, and I had to shut down my one hotel, but I was working at my dual property hotel. And I love the people part of this, the entire people portion of it. And there was one day, there was nothing coming into the hotel industry.
Right.
All the conferences, all the weddings, they all got canceled. And so there was a job opening for a director of hospitality and position. And that's how I started out in the senior industry. So
It's amazing how your paths led you were so completely different.
yeah.
But at the same time, it's all working with people. And like, even you mentioned hospitality and, we've talked about that in the past. Like, it really is the people that make you feel good.
Right.
And so I can see why like the weddings being canceled and the conferences being canceled. And you're like, how can I go back to getting that human connection? And you certainly make it in senior living.
Exactly. And I think just to kind of, pinpoint from that too, especially in senior living, it's all about every day I get to learn about my residents and, getting to know their stories. And, this industry has just been life-changing for me and I love it.
Getting to know them is definitely the best part, without a doubt. I mean, you think you're doing it for them, but you just get so much more in return.
Exactly.
And
Absolutely.
you obviously, know that because that's part of your story.
It's part of my drive. It's part of my fire. It fuels me. It helps me when I can hear somebody else's story. And, they're not happy stories. A lot of times I tell people that I sell things that people don't want. And
Sometimes.
Sometimes it is that way. But to understand and listen to the adult children, listen to the resident themselves tell you their stories, it's just so, I don't know, it's humbling and it's rewarding at the same time because we are supposed to be the experts in this industry. So no matter what community I'm at, where I'm at, if it's not the right fit for that person, I'm going to let them know, well, you know what? I don't know if we're going to be able to meet those needs, or this other community might be better for you. We work together as partners. There's enough to go around, but at the end of the day, we just want to do the right thing.
So I like that you brought that up, because that's like the perfect transition into the next question that I want to ask you. So obviously, working as the director and manager of sales at a community, you are sort of someone's first connection. So you are who they're going to come to talk to when they have questions about the community. So I would like to know, in your experience, what are some of the first questions? Because obviously you deal with a lot and you are wonderful. You just hit on everything before I can even say it. But like, speaking of like the adult children, obviously, you know, sometimes it's a family decision. It's not necessarily, you know, the resident's choice, or they're a little scared, or they're hesitant in sort of those first meetings. So how do you guys handle that? And sort of what questions do they ask, or what do you sort of bring up to make them feel comfortable?
Well, I think it goes to a lot, because a lot of times someone will come in and the first thing it is, how much are you? How much does it cost?
No. This is true.
And you got to kind of say, well, you know, let's talk about the needs that your loved one has first. Like, let's really explore this, because I need to sell the value of why we charge what we do. At any community, we have to sell the value. And you can only sell the value if you truly believe in it. So the more that we hear about the families and what they're saying, my first question to them are, what are your expectations from a community?
Yeah, what do you need?
What do you expect us to do? Because maybe your expectations are not realistic, and we're going to kind of either tell you if we can do that or if we're not. And that's one thing that Casey and I really, I think, has created our success, is because we're very transparent, we're very open. We want to build a relationship that is genuine. So we really want to help the best that we can. A lot of times they'll ask us, what's the caregiver ratio? Well,
that's a very good question.
It's a good question, but every community has a different answer for it.
That's right.
Sometimes they're including the managers that are there. Sometimes they're including caregivers, the med techs, the salespeople in their ratio. So I don't even tell people to ask that question anymore, because you're not getting the right answer most of the times.
Interesting.
So if I say to somebody, if they ask that, I'll say, well, just care staff alone is this to this. And then they'll say, well, that seems a little higher. So-and-so has, 1 to 4. And I'm thinking, well, that's because they're adding all these people that aren't really caregivers in there. So again, being transparent and being honest and really answering the questions the way that they need to be answered.
Being transparent is huge, because even if you went to the doctor and the doctor's like, listen, I don't know, that's not my specialty. You respect them way more. You respect them way more, and you understand that they're going to be truthful, even if they're not the ones who are going to help you. I think that's amazing, and I definitely think that's something that people remember.
Exactly.
Because even if you couldn't, they'll be like, you know what? They weren't what I needed exactly, but you should go there and ask them, because they gave me all these answers.
Yeah, and I think that a big question.
That's a huge respect.
It is, and I think that families should ask, tell me about your care staff. Tell me about your team.
How long have they been there? Do you think that's
How
a question?
long have they been there?
Yes.
Because one of the biggest things is that if you keep your staff happy, your residents are going to be happy. And it's a trickling effect. So it starts at the top and it goes down. So Casey and I, we tried to build relationships with everybody that works in our community and have fun with it, because you spend more time with the people you work with.
Absolutely.
And you want people to look forward to coming to work. And the community that we're at now, has been amazing. Like, even during the pandemic, they never had to use agency, which that was the first time I ever heard of a community not using agency.
That is crazy.
So that just speaks volumes of what we do for our staff, which is a lot. And I think that's why they all stay.
That's incredible.
And just to kind of, piggyback off of what Kim is saying is, you can't be successful in sales, especially if you don't know that prospect's why. It's all about personalization. So what are they coming in to look for? Are they coming in really just to look for the care or the atmosphere of the environment, or, the team, because, they've seen so much turnover at X, Y, and Z's community, So that's, what I love about where I'm at right now, is because I don't feel, I get to listen to the family. I don't feel so scripted now, whereas before in those past communities, you follow these scripts. And
oh my gosh, I hate the scripts.
I know.
They do like an inquiry sheet, and they're like, make sure you get all these answers and make sure you get this. And it's not even personable.
It's not.
So here,
Well, you can still get those answers and have a conversation
right,
with
and they're
someone.
just sitting there writing this down, or that doesn't even pertain to them. And you can sense the frustration. So stepping out of the box and just being a normal human listening to another another normal person.
How would you like to be treated?
Talk to me the same way I want to be talked to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're allowed to have that freedom, which makes it so important.
Absolutely it is. And I do think people should go to different communities and talk because they will be able to feel that difference.
We tell
You
people
can
that
feel
all
it
the
as soon
time.
as you walk in the door.
The vibe is so important. And we tell people all the time, you know what? Take your loved one to 2 or 3 communities. The ones that because if the adult children are already doing their due diligence and they're going to all these places and I don't know how mom's going to decide. Well, let mom decide. Take them to 2 or 3 places that you already like and let them pick. I mean, it's that simple.
That's a huge barrier, especially if someone is feeling hesitant or scared or nervous, like we talked about. You know, the more you kind of go in and tour, the less that they'll see that it's not a nursing home.
Exactly.
It's retirement community where you can just be like, what are we partying? How are we partying tomorrow?
Yeah, the socialization.
Sometimes that is the case.
Yeah, the 2 biggest things that you're selling is socialization and food.
Right.
Because that's what they still have control over. And so we do a lot with making sure that when somebody comes in that they're being taken around for the first week or so. We're introducing them to the residents. We have resident committees, the ambassador clubs that are really getting our new residents involved in everything. And it couldn't make my heart happier.
I think that's a really good question for people to ask too. Like, how, if I move in, how are you going to help me feel a little comfortable? Because it is a little scary. It's like starting school again.
It is.
It's like, you know, where are you going to sit? What
Where am I
lunch
gonna
table
sit
can I
at?
sit
Yeah.
at?
Yep.
And that is, one big thing too, is, part of that discovery process is really getting to know, that person moving in, what do they love to do growing up? What gives them their purpose? And, connecting them with the right people, prior to move-in. And so they have that connection already and getting them to be introduced to them the day of move-in, et cetera, X, Y, and Z. So that's what I love about, Kim and I, because it goes above the sales portion too. It's that hospitality. It's the getting to get them engaged before the move-in process, because like you were saying earlier, Kori, it starts with us. It really does. It starts with the first phone call in, how you introduce yourself, and then even before that move-in. So
Absolutely how you answer the phone.
Yeah.
Somebody
Building
answers
these-
mean. I'm like,
Yeah, click. Yeah, it is so important because when we're building these relationships, they are very sincere relationships. And I love this family just as much as I love my own. So now I'm depending on my team to fill these expectations that we're selling. So we make it fun for our team. Every morning we have our managers meeting, and I'll come in here with a quiz on like Wednesday that we talked about things on Monday.
favorite candy. No, I'm just kidding.
Pretty much. That's exactly what it's like. That's what it's like. I'm like, okay, who's moving on Monday? Who's moving them in? And of course, it's the answers. And then it's like one day I pulled out $100 bill. I'm like, whoever can answer most questions, they get this.
That sounds
And
good.
it was hard because I'm like, okay, now we have to have a button because everyone's jumping in. So it's a team that cares. And
Makes it
that's
exciting.
yeah, and fun. We want to have fun.
My favorite thing that Kim's done since I've known her is she
What
put
she gonna say?
little tidbits in her emails, and she hides them in there. So, and she'll say, if you guys can repeat this at stand up the next morning, I'm going to buy you Starbucks for a full week, and then I've learned that the hard way because I'm like, I want Starbucks for a full week. So again, it's, being that team and, making it fun and engaging too.
Because
So.
really, Kori, how many emails do you get? And they're really long and you're like, blah, blah, blah. You just skim through it. So when I put these little things in there, I know that they're reading them. Because people come, and some people come in like, one email.
That's just like the movie Game Day. Did you ever see that?
What is it?
They had the guy was supposed to like read the playbook, and then like he lied about it, and they're like, but there was $100 in the back. They're like, did you find anything?
Oh, no.
It's like, no, there was nothing, and they're like, lies.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
I'll have to-
She's like a whole movie, and she doesn't even know.
I don't even know
Oh
it.
my gosh.
I mean, I always did want to be an actress or a comedian.
That's her
Here we
side
go.
job.
Well, this will be your second debut, at least that I am a part of. But I appreciate that. So we encourage the people who are coming in and touring these communities to make sure that they figure out what's important to them first, because then they should sort of base what they're looking for, and like what you said, their expectations are sort of when they're going to talk to you and have that idea. That really helps them. I do think that people will be able to tell the difference whether you're passionate and if it's a good feel for that person just by talking to you guys. Just talking alone, with you right now makes me excited, right? And so if you go in and you're not feeling that vibe with that person, then you know, like, hey, let's go on to the next, because chances are that's how it's going to be. Because again, you even said, like, you know, we set the standard and we get, you know, everybody prepped for our newest arrival.
Yep. Yeah.
What else? I know you talked a little bit about the care. That's it. The collaboration and the team. So you guys talked about a resident council and things like that. Is that something that is at a lot of different communities, or is that something that sort of sets other communities apart?
From my experience at the millions of places that I've worked at, I think that the idea is there, but the execution is not.
Okay.
A lot of times. Now, I'm sure that there's a lot of communities that do have a great resident council, this or that, but what I've experienced here at Cedarbrook of Rochester is the men's club. There are so many men that are so ready to do this, and they get it in their little meeting room. They talk about what they want to do, where they want to go, and we make it happen for them. The resident council, the ambassadors, we have people volunteering. I want to be the ambassador. I want to show the new move-ins around. I want to do this. We have to rotate them like every couple months because there's so many people. And they're like, who's moving in now? Like, they're excited to get new friends.
You're like, no one, we're full.
I know. I mean, but we're not full in assisted living and memory care. So. I'm just kidding. But it's so funny because even, I think this community is one of the most active communities I've been in. Every Monday night, they do cornhole tournaments in the hallway.
Oh my gosh.
Tuesday, they have the pool table club.
Yeah,
and
that's it too. I love that you said that, because
Yeah.
if it's empty and it's a ghost town, something's up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're right.
Obviously, lunchtime's a different story, but
Yeah,
I think that's coming at different times for tours, I think is important for
don't come
people
at
to
10
see.
in the morning because you're not really going to see much. You know,
Yeah.
you're just going to see people that just finished
like-
eating breakfast or
right.
they're in the room getting, ready for the day. But anytime between even if people want to come during lunch, because a lot of people want to see the other residents, a lot of
sure.
families or
Yeah.
even
Yeah,
prospects are like, well, I don't want to move to a community where there's all old people and she's 96,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, all right, well, come.
You're like,
come
get
on.
on here.
Age is just a number, kids.
It's how you feel, yeah. But then come during lunch and have lunch with us and meet some of the residents. We'll go to that, whatever we need to do to make someone feel comfortable. That's how we're gonna do it.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
But 1 to 4, that's where you're gonna see people out. You should see people out. You should see activities. You should see entertainment.
Yeah.
That's the good time.
Happy hours are the best hours.
Oh my gosh. So again, by asserting your needs and asking whether the community is equipped to meet them, you can steadily sort of narrow down that list of communities and what's important for you. Again, there's no perfect community. However, there is a perfect one out there for you.
Yes, 100%.
Absolutely. So the next thing I want to talk about is your actual community. So you've given us a lot of information about some things to look out for, what to ask. I really like the sneak peeks on some of the little tips and tricks that you've given. And I love the part that you mentioned about honesty.
Yep, it's very important
I
to do
do
the
think
right thing.
people are hip to that. And I have talked to others in the past who are like, I know it's not, but we're just going to get them in here. That's not going to do you any good. And it's certainly not going to do them any good, because then they're going to have to move out again. So that's a huge thing. I love that. I haven't heard many people say that. So major props to the both of you. But I do want to talk about your specific community. So you guys mentioned there's independent, there's assisted living, and then there's also memory care. I know that you guys will do respite stays if you have those rooms available. Yeah. But tell me about the apartment styles.
Yeah.
What do you got going on?
Definitely. So one thing that I love about, the Cedarbrooks is, they're all, we are the baby, Cedarbrook of Rochester. And so the independent living, we're actually the highest or the tallest building in Rochester, which is great.
No idea.
So
6
yeah.
floors.
Yeah. So our independent living, they're made up of first floor is a select few, and then we have our 4th, 5th, and 6th floor. So we have select 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 2 bedrooms with a den, which is great because it offers, the residents a variety if they want to downsize, they want to keep that space, things like that. And then we have our licensed floors, which is our assisted living, as well as our memory care, which is on our 2nd and 3rd floor. So.
And what we love about Cedarbrook, they did it right. They did it right, you guys. The 2nd floor is memory care. The 3rd floor is assisted living. a lot of people that have some cognitive disorders, dementia, when they need to move to the memory care floor, they mirrored the image. So this third and second floor look exactly alike, the same apartment style. So when you have to make that transition, it's not that hard. Because sometimes it's like the adult child taking their loved one out to lunch, they move other things into memory care. And when they go into memory care, they don't even realize that it's a change because it's set up the same exact way.
That's amazing because a lot of the time those moves can really throw them off.
It could be devastating.
It really, really can. And people don't understand that. And again, that goes back to what we just said, like being honest. And if you can really do what you need to do for that person, because it can be extremely detrimental. So you're right that in all of our training for dementia, obviously I'm a certified dementia care specialist, and that is like one of the biggest things. So I agree that is definitely done right. And I do want to mention too, like you talked about a den, like some of your apartments are like 1,500 square feet.
Yes.
That's huge.
It is huge. And, a lot of, this, the prospects that we see that are coming in from like, they don't want to downsize. And we know that downsizing is right sizing and, less is best, et cetera, et cetera. And so
that's mainstream trending right now. Everybody's trying to get us to throw away our junk.
I know. And it's so funny because like our generations is like, we're just like, throw it away. It's fine.
Yeah.
But then you come from generations that are like that, grew up during that, that time and, the Great Depression, et cetera. And so they want to save everything. And then they're like, well, my kids will have it. Well, no, Grandma, I don't want your like 500-year-old like photo album or something like that. It's just
I came from the generation that wants that photo album.
Well, we're all about
there's obviously
media.
a disconnect here.
That's just an idea. But
tell me who they all are.
Yes,
I want everyone's.
Yeah. So, but no, it's such a it's good to give them those options too, especially because our independent living, they're very independent, which is amazing. And so,
and that's what you want. And that's why we need people to come in younger so that they can really reap the full benefit of all that is offered.
Yes.
I have to piggyback off that because, again, being proactive versus reactive. It is so hard for people like us that really care about you, and you come to us and you say, my mom needs independent living. She's with it. She's good. And then we meet the mom, and mom's not independent anymore. Right. And mom needs help with dressing. Mom needs all of her meals made for her. And then we're like the barrier of bad news, like she's more appropriate for assisted living at this point. And getting that point across to somebody who is not in the same level as you're thinking, they're like, what? And I'm like, So you guys don't wait too long. Get them in there while they can enjoy it, because they're going to meet the friends that are going to help them through the aging process. Married couples, same thing.
Some of that can be avoided.
It can be avoided.
Because then you're not sitting in the chair at home alone watching TV.
That's right.
You're up and doing something, or someone's knocking like, hey, what do you got going on today? Do you want to do this with us?
Yep.
You know?
Exactly. Yep.
I like that you mentioned the married couples too, because I do feel like some people feel like one spouse stays at home and the other goes. And that's not always the case. That does happen depending on if someone needs more care, but that doesn't always happen.
It doesn't always happen, but the special thing about moving into a community when you're a couple and you're still independent, we know that somebody's going to pass away first. We don't know who, but if somebody does, you have the whole support of your friends that have went through the same things already, and then they can talk to them about it. And you as an adult child don't have to worry about being with your mom or dad every single day, every single minute, because they're in a community that has so much love to give them and offer them and help them through it as well.
I like that you hit on that, and I do want to sort of bring it up. Like when we're young, we have a lot of friends and we have a lot of people around us. But as we start to age, you get families or kids or whatever, or life happens. Like our group tends to thin out a little bit, and good reasons and bad reasons. And so I love that you said that, because again, in the community, if you want to be involved, you can gain 20 friends.
Yeah, and it's even helping people find their purpose. Sometimes adult children, they don't know, and they're telling you this. Well, this is why he does this. This is why she does this. And then I'll say to them, well, why are they still living? What is their purpose? And 9 out of 10 times, no one can answer that. And then we're going to help them, guide them, and say, we're going to find a purpose for your dad or mom. Tell me what they did for a living. Tell me what they did for fun. And when we get that, we start gathering. Well, maybe they can host a knitting club. You know, they haven't knit in a while. We'll get them all the supplies, and then we'll get some people. But we got to give people purposes. Everyone needs a purpose.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, think about it. Well, I didn't, even with COVID, like I didn't work for a couple of weeks because of home health care and this and that. And for the first 2 weeks, it's all good. And then after that, you're like, oh my God, just when I thought I'd do all these things when I'm unemployed, you just do nothing.
Yeah, I didn't have that
feeling
COVID break.
depressed and this and that. Mine was only 7 weeks, but even still, like that was too much.
COVID
it sounds
was-
good until you get what you asked for.
Exactly. I never had the luxury of working from home, even in like the service industry before, or, being in the unemployed section. So it was a whole different like world. And I feel like now we're finally emerging from it. So
And the seniors are ready. They're ready. They don't want to be held back anymore. We've been going to different events and they're ready for it. They're out there and they're ready to take those next steps and get out of that mind frame.
exactly, because, especially with the senior, that senior industry is, they were the most vulnerable generation, especially with COVID. So we see a lot more, especially now that people that, oh, my mom doesn't have, dementia or signs of dementia, things like that. But, when you're, in closed doors and, you don't have a lot of that socialization, that's key indicator. So it's all about, trying to find the right resources and, that socialization and getting ready to go back out there. And, that is one thing that I think what Kim and we do best is educating families as well, too. So.
Yeah, and that takes time.
It
so
takes
you're
time.
both very patient as well.
We are patient, and we will also say that, a lot of these seniors and adult children that's helping their mom or dad find a place, mom and dad can make you feel real guilty. And I'm here to tell you that
hilarious.
the ones that make them feel guilty, and they're in our community for at least 30 days, this is a conversation with the mom and, let's say, daughter. The mom's like, I guess I have to move. My daughter's making me move. I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. I don't like bingo. I don't like crafts. I don't like all this stuff. And I'm going to hate it. Get that a lot. And the adult child's like, what am I going to do? My mom does not want to move. She's not ready. Well, nobody's ready. What makes you ready? Ready isn't when you fall and break a hip. It's before, that proactive thing.
I agree.
So then after that 30 days, and, let's say Emma, who doesn't like to play bingo, who doesn't want to come out of a room, I'm out there taking snapshots of her partying at the happy hour, playing bingo, sending it to the daughter just to relieve their mind. Like, no, your mom's making you feel guilty. I mean, some moms do that, sorry, but or dads. But I'm here more than just a salesperson. I'm here to help the families through it as well. So, and it's funny because they're like, oh my gosh,
director,
entertainment and fun. How many happy hours are we invited to by our residents?
We wear a lot of hats.
And we love it, but that's what we want to do.
It is fun because it makes every day different.
Yeah.
It's never stagnant, never the same.
And I'll tell those adult children that your family, they tell us a lot of secrets too. They trust us. We're like their best friends. Yeah, so we know a lot about you guys.
So you guys talked about having 1 and 2 bedrooms, 1 and 2 bathrooms. Like I mentioned, huge apartments, 1,500 square feet. Some of them are, but there's also salon and spas. There's a fitness center. You guys have an amazing pub.
Yes,
You have to see it to believe it because it's insane. You have cafe. You have a theater. I mean...
Got a putting green. Yeah.
Yep, that's going to be...
Do you guys have the dinosaur too?
Yep.
Little known fact, they have a dinosaur on site, and they're also the tallest building in Rochester. So,
Yeah,
come and get your picture with Dino.
Yes.
yeah, for sure. We should make that an event too.
We did that last year. I made I don't think you were there. We did a fall festival. We had some people out in the industry come by, and I did like an Instagram hunt, a LinkedIn hunt, right? And I said, go, if you take a picture with Dino and you post it on LinkedIn, and then there's a few of the people from the industry, posting their stuff on LinkedIn. And I'm like, I love it. It just sets us apart, which what I love about our community for sure.
Yeah, I don't know any other community that has a dinosaur. Nope. Absolutely.
Or a
no.
maintenance man that can build a big giant Santa sleigh.
Oh yes,
and
you
the
didn't see
grandkids
Santa
would come by
sleigh.
and they're like, Santa parks a sleigh here?
Santa here?
Yeah.
And it's got the Cedarbrook logo right on the side of it.
Santa's hearing that all day.
This team is amazing. Like, I am so glad that I'm with a team that gets it, they understand it. And that goes back to, what are you looking for in a senior living community? People that care, that have the hearts, that are going to go above and beyond. I mean, I could sit here all day and tell you the stories that happen behind the scenes that you guys would not have a clue about. It's a whole new world.
Coming soon.
So
again, Cedarbrook of Rochester has made incredible investments in their community. There's so many important, engaging things going on there. They engage residents in the daily activities, like you mentioned. You guys have nutritious meals that have some thought behind them as well. We encourage you to give Kim and Casey a call. You can reach them at 248-841-2850. Ask them all of your questions. Go take a tour. We're having fun here. You're going to have fun when you do it. I can guarantee that if residents see you taking someone on a tour, they're saying hello.
Oh, by far. I feel like I don't even have to stop by, and the residents just come up, which is great. So
it is fun.
That's amazing. So I also want to mention too, like we mentioned that it can be a difficult decision sometimes for people to make. You talked a little bit about Emma and her challenges. We just made her up today.
Emma.
I mean, there are plenty of Emmas out there.
Yeah. So again, relocating into senior living can be stressful, but there's so many different options out there to fit your needs or that of your loved ones. That can assist you in that education. I know you guys are super busy. We have a division that does that. It's called Adviso. So if they need help on trying to figure out and narrow what those things are, we can help them. And then we sort of point them in the right direction of where you can go. We also sort of help with that family dynamic, because sometimes, as you guys know, there is maybe some arguing going on behind the scenes, which you mentioned, and so we can sort of help with that family harmony and really just try to get everybody on the same page, because sometimes, as you know, you can deal with people who are like, daughter's in Wisconsin, son is in Illinois, and their loved ones here, and you're trying to facilitate that. So that can be a lot of work. The senior companies is super happy to be able to help with that through the Adviso and Adviso Connect division. So Adviso Connect is coming soon. Just got to mention that. The girls talked about Instagram. You can find us on Instagram at Adviso. You can find us on Facebook at The Senior Movers. We have the Senior Companies YouTube, where you're probably watching this, but we encourage you to subscribe. Is there anything else, Kim and Casey, that you'd like to mention about your experience or about your community, Cedarbrook of Rochester?
I think the biggest thing that I love everything about Cedarbrook, Rochester, and I don't say this a lot about communities, but but one thing I also love is that the owners are local. They're here in Michigan. They know what's going on. They know what's happening, and they want our residents to be happy. So they come by. I mean, the senior vice president is in there at least once a week, if not more, and talking to the residents, finding out, what do you want? What do you want us to do now? We value our residents so much, and it's all about them, and that's how they're treated, and that is why I am with this community. They're amazing.
That is unheard of.
Exactly. Definitely resident focused for sure. And,
Absolutely.
putting the team first and the residents first, you know.
I feel like a lot of people say that, but you'll be able to find out quickly if it's actually true.
You walk in there, you'll feel that vibe. You'll feel the welcomeness, and even Claire's Cafe, our cute little cafe. I mean, they feed us. They give us food. They're work perks, and I mean, it's awesome. It really is. I can't say enough good things.
Yeah, that's amazing. Again, if you have any questions surrounding senior living, or you have topic suggestions, you can reach out to me at kl@theseniormovers.com, or you can call us at 586-204-8500. And again, you can reach Kim and Casey at 248-841-2850. But I want to thank you both so much for coming on. You have been such a highlight. I think you have provided lots of good information, and at any rate, amazing energy, which I really hope.
Thank you very much.
Is this my
I love these
time?
microphones. Love it. Thank you.
Hello, Caitlin. Can you hear me?
Thank you so much, Kori, for having us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Again, I encourage our audience to reach out to you guys, and so that they can have some fun too, or just prank call them. It's fine also.
Yeah.
We like to talk.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see you next time on the Senior Podcast Show. Thanks for joining us.